Recycling paper is not only good for the environment, but it also saves 60% of the energy that it takes to produce it from trees.
Why do you want to cut down a tree and have all of the things associated with that versus taking a paper product, whether it's newspaper, cardboard, or your white office paper, send it to a mill that puts it through the same process and makes the same product again? You know, why do you want to use the Earth's natural resources when you have something that you've already, so to speak, mined and you can reuse? It makes no sense to me.
It doesn't make sense in dollars either.
It's actually cheaper to take cardboard and make it back into cardboard than it is to take forest products like trees, cut them down, cut them into sawdust, make that sawdust into paper or cardboard, and then make your end product from that.
So why are those were already baled, why are they unbaling them?
Well, these were brought in from our retail stores, like the supermarkets, and they have a retail baler that does it in maybe up to about 900 pounds per bale, but this baler will do 2,000 pounds a bale. So it does it, and it has more compression. The bale will be the same size, but it'll be much heavier, so we can maximize our shipping costs.
Is this a cheap item, this machine here? Or?
Well, it's a big tinker toy. It's more than, I would say more than 100,000 plus the labor to dig the hole, the holding area, to get it up there. And we have to also buy the baling wire that comes in on a ship, full container load.
So even though it comes in baled already, and you spend this much, 100,000 at least for this machine, you save that much.
Right.
By really concentrating it to the shipping. So it's worth the investment.
Right, it's worth it. Because to ship one container, if it costs us $1,500 and we're only going to fill it half full, then we're losing the money on the shipment. So we want to fill it as full as possible to maximum weight. So we need the bales as tight as possible, heavy as possible.
That is a lot of recycled paper. 1 ton of paper being recycled saves 17 trees from being cut down. Every year, Americans use more than 67 million tons of paper. That's 580 pounds per person.
You know, we need our forests. We have to have the greenery. So the more recycling we do, the better it's going to be.
93% of the energy that powers the islands comes from far beyond our shores. We must reduce our dependency on imported oil. But how? The power of our winds, the ocean, and the sun can be harnessed. Our fields can grow crops to fuel power plants. Working together, we can triple the amount of power we produce from clean, local, renewable sources. But to make it happen, we all must do our part. The commitment begins now.
Recycling copper has been in the news because of people stealing it from churches and schools.
One of the things that we've seen in the last 9 months or so is this huge increase in value of copper. It's like all of the other raw materials that we have in the world, whether it's aluminum, copper, nickel, steel, iron. It's a limited resource. We only have so much of it. And currently there's a very large demand for copper and very little supply. And anytime you have that ratio between supply and demand, you're going to have escalation of prices. And that's what we've seen. The price of copper has gone from, say, 50 cents a pound a year and a half ago to well over $2 a pound. I think most people would be very satisfied with a 4 times return on investment over 9 months. That's a good deal.
Copper is a necessary part of so many of the products we use that the amount of copper we consume is a pretty good indicator of the country's economic health. The largest fraction of copper in use today is in the form of electrical and electronic wire and cable. Today, countries like China are making the price of copper rise higher and higher.
The reason for it has been that the China economy, which is kind of controlling the world markets currently, has been growing astronomically. And they've been importing copper as much as possible and using it locally. What's also fueled the fire is that some of the largest copper mines in the world are in Chile, and they've been going through strike issues. And so you have this huge demand and a limited supply. What do I think of the future of copper is going to be? I don't think it'll ever go back to that 50 cents range. I think it will continue to be the $2 to $3 range, just because there's just not enough supply in the world.
Equally as precious of a commodity is iron, or steel. The resource is limited and the need is growing.
You have to think that in Shanghai alone, there's 2,200 buildings of 20 stories or greater, and all of that has been built in the last 10 years. So just the amount of steel needed to build those 2,200 buildings is enormous. You know, given the fact that China has imported so much and they've started this huge surge of material flowing that direction, you have India right behind them, and you have Pakistan right behind India. So I don't see anything really changing for this worldwide demand for the next 15, 20, or even 50 years from now. You know, it's too big.
Personal computers have for sure changed the world, and with the constant increase in computing power, this makes the machines almost obsolete by the time you get them home. Until recently, all those old computers and monitors have gone to the landfill. Well, there's money in those old computers that's now being harvested.
Electronic recycling, which is what we call it, is in its infancy. It has just basically started. So what we're doing is we're taking all that computer scrap and we're shipping that to a company that will break it down and sell the components. So they'll shred the computers and they'll take out the little bit of silver, a little bit of gold, the copper that's in there, aluminum that's in there.
Recycling is not just about that nickel from the can or bottle. It's about what we want for our islands. Do we want more landfills, or do we want to preserve our beautiful land?
Recycling today in Hawaii, it's almost like we're in a third world country. We're way behind what especially Europe is doing. You know, if you go to Europe, they recycle almost everything possible that can be recycled. You know, they've made it because they have limited landfill space. One of the major reasons. And they have a certain type of ethic that we don't seem to have here. America has always had a throwaway ethic, ever since we founded the 13 colonies. You know, they tore down the forest. What the first thing they did, the Pilgrims did, they cut down the forest. And did they recycle the wood? No, they burned it. So we've always had a throwaway ethic. Europe, on the other hand, because it's been such a small place, has always had more of a recycling ethic. And they've taken that to a level that's way above what we're doing. So you don't throw away your bottles, your glass. You don't throw away your paper. Packaging is done in such a way that you have less packaging. There is a cost to you for your garbage on the doorstep. If you leave out one package, you're going to be charged X amount of dollars per month. If you leave out 2 packages, you're going to be charged twice that amount. So they give you the opportunity to recycle, and they mandate that you have to recycle, and then they charge you to take away anything that you don't recycle. That's how Europe is, and I think within the next 50 years, that's how Hawaii will be. So I'm looking forward to that process, because I think it's going to mean a tremendous amount more volume doing what should be done, and that is saving the environment, saving the resources, and reusing the products that we have as building products for our future. Unfortunately, I think that We are going to be forced into recycling because of economic reasons in the future. And this is the wrong way to go. We should be proactive and be looking for what we can do to do it now. That Switzerland, for instance, has about a 96% recycling rate. They're only throwing away 4%. Hawaii, we probably throw away something like 60%. So we have a long ways to go. I think the average household, they have things that are very, very easy to recycle. You know, they have the newspaper, they have cardboard, they have the glass bottles, they have aluminum cans and plastic. This is the majority of what people have. If they were to take everything out of their trash, they probably wouldn't have that much to put on the door, put outside, you know, to throw away. And that's a good first step, you know. Other steps that we can take that would reduce the amount of stuff that is going to the homeowner, and that's packaging. If we have packaging requirements that limits the amount of packaging that could be put on a product. I mean, who of us has not bought something where the product is 2 or 3 inches big, but the package it comes in is 2 feet long? You know? So if we have limited amount of packaging, that will also save resources. It will save stuff going to the landfill. Therefore, we will be keeping ourselves better or positioning ourselves better for the future.
Being green, even just a little bit, can make a big difference. If you have any questions or comments, or just want to learn more about living green, visit our website at gogreenhawaii.com. I'll see you next week, and remember, go green, Hawaii. Go Green Hawaii is sponsored by the Hawaiian Electric Company.